Do you live ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. We are a few days removed from East Carolina's season opener against NC State. Starting a new week on a Monday. Pirates will try to get on the board with their first win this weekend against Campbell inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, the home opener. So we'll preview that game all week long. We've got the Blake Carroll press conference coming up later this morning. If you're listening to our live edition, we are live streaming a few hours early due to that change in schedule there. If you're listening on radio, it is in our normal noon time slot. Check out 94.3 The Game, YouTube, Facebook, social media for Blake Carroll's press conference, also the replay of this show, etc. We got a lot to get into. Man, what a weekend in sports. Great college football games, and it's not over quite yet. North Carolina and Bill Belichick making his debut tonight against TCU. Looking forward to that. It is an NFL game week. Stoked for that. Shout out, by the way, Philip Pilkington. He was at the Darlington Raceway last night, and now he is back. Chase Briscoe, the winner, texted him late in the evening. Unfortunately, he had to make his way back a little earlier than expected, but he was a trooper. He's here. Philip, how you holding up, man?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. The one actual, I think, kind of perk to this thing is the campers that I was staying in is not that comfortable to sleep in, so it wasn't as hard to get out of bed despite being tired as it would have been had I been in like a really comfortable situation. So I think that helped. Got to stop inside Buc-ee's in Florence, and
I did see your Instagram post there.
Yes, because I needed gas, and it actually kind of worked out. And I was like, well, there's nobody here. I mean, it's like 6:15 a.m. on a Monday, so I was able to do that, run home, grab a quick shower, and here I am, ready to go.
Well, appreciate you and your sacrifice, making it in a little early. And, yeah, look, man, what a weekend. Well, let's start with the race, man. I mean, hey, I know people want to hear ECU, which, by the way, we are going to introduce a fun buy or sell segment in segment 2 coming out of the opener, how we truly feel about some specific categories with the ECU football team. Looking forward to that. But you got to see – now, I'll say this. I was watching Notre Dame, Miami, and then I was like, oh, yeah, Philip's at the race. Let me tune in so we can just see how it's going. And – I watched the last 50 laps, and apparently you were telling me I pretty much saw the only exciting part of the race as it looked like Tyler Reddick was about to pass Briscoe for the lead on the final lap, which, by the way, shout out Michael Jordan. He got some TV time.
He did.
But Briscoe held him off.
No, honestly, the best part of it was at the end when Michael Jordan Tyler Reddick shook hands. Those you don't know, Tyler Reddick is like 5'6", and it just happened to happen like right in front of us, and Jordan towers over me. It was funny. Anyways, it was a good time. You know, it was kind of a boring race, but like you said, really good finish there. Anytime you got a guy charging late to try and take down a guy who's dominated the entire race, always makes it exciting, but had a good time with some good friends, and was able to woke up and not feeling good on the way home. So we ate some good food and had a great time. Wish my guy would have drove a little better, but it is what it is.
Overall, college football, how much were you able to watch? I mean, we got to get, man, it feels like a week ago. We got together on Saturday and watched things with Scott Rogers and some of the 94.3 crew at Scooter's Airbnb. If you're looking for a place to stay in town or some out-of-town family, I definitely recommend hitting up Scooter. He's got a sweet place. But how much did you enjoy just the college football slate? You had some snoozers. You had some good games. Were you able to really lock in on anything? Yeah,
other than yesterday. Yeah, I was locked in. We ended up staying at Scooter's until halftime of whatever that 7:30 game was.
Clemson LSU.
Yeah, and then we went home, and I watched the second half at home. So it was great. It was just kind of fun. I like this playing on Thursday night thing. Can we vouch to do this every year? Steven,
well,
I don't know.
Just
it's
the beginning
nice.
for this year.
I know, right? This is awesome. It was funny. We were walking out of practice one day, and Malcolm's like, I get to watch football every Saturday, and October, this is great. And I'm like, yeah, no, look, I'm looking forward to it. So, I mean, I guess week one, it kind of is a snoozer a little bit. So maybe it's not the best week to have a Thursday night game. But when you talk about Lee Corso's final college game day and just the fact that it's finally here, sometimes you're okay with snoozers week one just because you're so happy college football's here.
There's no doubt. And, speaking of buy or sell, it's going to be cringe to – it's already been cringed. I've turned on a lot of just sports radio and just all the Arch Manning hot takes. And, look, I get it. He looked terrible. But, we do have to remember he was playing at Ohio State. The kid's under immense pressure. I just hate when people just, jump off. They can't just, have a middle take, which I get. That doesn't grab headlines and that doesn't make people react. But, can we not just say, let's give him a few games? I get he looked bad. But, I mean, he was playing at Ohio State in his first real start. So let's give it some time.
I thought the only guy that looked good pretty much all weekend was the Michigan kid.
Underwood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now they're playing New Mexico.
A lot of inexperienced quarterbacks.
Yeah.
struggled.
I mean, everybody looked kind of – I mean, even the Clemson LSU game, which is the two most experienced starting quarterbacks probably, at least playing against one another. I know the kid from Penn State's pretty experienced, but – yeah, to have those two in there, I mean, they didn't look bad. They didn't look good either. So, I mean, it was just, hey, it's week one.
Speaking of looking bad on week one, Cameron is in the chat, and he brings up the Army Black Knights.
Go Texans.
They lose to Tarleton State. That was a Friday night game. And, man, speaking of just being completely wrong, and I'll get back to Cameron here in a minute, I've actually been pretty good on my picks, but I've been dead wrong on a couple things. I did call Bama by 28. That was
Me too.
I forgot that Nick Saban is no longer coaching, and that Mike Norvell is a pretty good coach when he actually has a locker room that is listening to him. That was just a shocking result. And shout out, Thomas Castellanos. I really thought his words would come back to bite him, and he backed it up. That's impressive. The other thing I was way off on, App State just destroyed Charlotte. Kind of disappointing. Speaking of another American team, I think we were both – I can't remember if we had the conversation on or off there, Philip. We were like, I'm kind of pulling for Charlotte here. Not only for the American, but, it just feels like App may be ready to hit a downtime as a program. But for the opener, they look great.
They did.
Now, how much of this is Charlotte?
I know that's the thing. It's like, did they look great, or they take advantage of and do what they were supposed to do? And good teams do what they're supposed to do, of course. But I'm not really ready to crown them, division champions, put them in a conference championship game yet. You wonder how bad this is going to be with Charlotte. We thought the Biff era was bad, and it was. And I'm not saying the new coach is not going to do well, but this feels like it's a 1 to 2 year rebuild, like an old school rebuild, just because there is no history with that program. And again, I know Charlotte is the new rival. We're not really supposed to pull for them, but we want the American to look good. And honestly, App fans are way more obnoxious than Charlotte fans. So, I was kind of pulling for the 49ers.
Yeah, you look at Charlotte, they play North Carolina. Interesting that North Carolina is going to get very short rest. That they have to turn around and play that game on Saturday. So I don't think it'll be a major issue because it's Charlotte, but still, interesting there. Again, Army loses to Tarleton State, which those that are unfamiliar, Tarleton State actually has a pretty good FCS program. They won 10 games last year. Cameron says, after watching Army and other AAC, first off, American teams, I think AAC, isn't that out of the – we're not allowed to say that? Yeah.
Gone forever, Aaron Hernandez.
Other American teams play Aaron Hernandez. I feel very good at the potential of this team. Cameron says, I think we may only be underdogs in 2 conference games, UTSA and Tulane. All right, so, I was going to bring this up. First off, I do want to clarify, teams are going to make massive leaps from week 1, going forward. And obviously to week 2, by the time ECU plays Army, I expect Army to be a lot better. But I would rather play them based on what I saw Friday as soon as possible rather than late in the season. I'll tell you who also looked terrible. Coastal Carolina looked atrocious. And I know Virginia got a ton of transfers. They got some serious NIL rev share backing. But Coastal Carolina looked like a Division II program, let alone another FBS team. So, you're getting those 2 teams in the coming weeks. I think that's a positive. Obviously BYU, they beat Portland State 69-0. Nice debut there for the Cougars. But I think Portland State has lost 2 games now by a combined score of 110-0.
Yeah.
So I don't know any other takeaways from future opponents. Thought Tulane looked really good against Northwestern.
Yeah, I thought they did. I was a little surprised that spread was as close as it was. And UTSA finally showed up on the road.
Yeah.
They were playing a really tough opponent, obviously, and fell short. But look, UTSA, man, they're a favorite. And I know we've said it before, but I do think Jeff Traylor realizes there's some changes that need to be made, especially when it comes to playing on the road. Obviously, East Carolina's going to play them. Be a home game for the Roadrunners. But, I don't think this is going to be one of those situations where it was a year ago where they just struggle to win road games.
All right, some comments. Donna says Bryce Underwood looked good going back to Phillips Point. Yes, no Jake Garcia in that game. Unfortunately. But I'm sure he enjoyed his experience at the Big House. She also says we could have had State and that I think our Pirates aren't bad, but they just got to start clicking together. Some other comments. Justice Bradburn says ECU is going to be just fine. Our defense overperformed in a number of ways despite giving up some big plays down the field. The offense is going to sharpen up. Coastal Carolina and Army look easier than anticipated. Robert Matthews says Arch Manning threw like Uncle Rico. And Justice says no reason at all we can't be 4-1 going into Tulane. I will say BYU would be the reason ECU can't be 4-1 going into Tulane. I mean, I understand having confidence, but I just, BYU is going to be a favorite in that game, regardless of what happens the next few weeks. Probably close to, 7 to 10 points. We'll see.
They're going to be ranked. If
Yeah.
they win, Boise got beat. They're going to slot into Boise's spot.
Yeah, they play Stanford this week, and then they have a bye week. So, they're going to be 2-0 coming off a bye, so they're going to be fresh. Traveling cross-country, we'll see. Freshman making his first start. I feel decent about that game, but, I want to see ECU play, go out and beat Coastal and Campbell first.
I, in a way, feel decent, but in a way, I feel like we're going to be one-dimensional. If you can't block State's D lineman, what makes you think you're going to block BYU's? Those dudes, go do their 2 years of...
They're all 6'4", 300. I was looking at the depth chart last night.
And they're probably 25, 26 years old because they have to do their missions trip or whatever first, I think, don't they? Some of them?
A lot of them choose to do that, yep. Robert Matthews says Joey Aguilar looked good for the Vols. Yes, he did. You know who did not look good is Nico out at UCLA.
Oh, my goodness. I thought Utah would cover the 5.5. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment. So 43-10.
Bye, Deshaun Foster.
Nico went 11 of 22 for 136 yards. He also led the team in rushing, 13 carries, 47 yards. So a lot of people were saying Aguilar is not that good. And, look, I know Aguilar, he makes some mistakes, but, he's just a gamer. And I think in that offense, it's a good fit. So looking forward to seeing what Tennessee does going forward. Other American results, you mentioned it, UTSA loses 42-24. I was disappointed FAU was just a no-show at Maryland, 39-7. We had that game on. Tulane beats Northwestern 23-3.
Yeah, it was decent for a few minutes, okay. And then it just wasn't.
And then they look like a team with the first-year coach.
Yeah.
Navy throttled VMI 52-7. I'll tell you what, this one's a little bit of a surprise to me. Not that it's UMass, but Temple going on the road and beating UMass 42-10 kind of opened my eyes. And how about Rice going to Louisiana, which was in the Sun Belt Championship last year, winning 14-12 in Scott Abel's debut. So I thought overall a pretty good weekend for the American. The only bad result was Charlotte and Army. And outside of that, I thought everybody looked fairly competent.
Yeah, I think so. And, the thing is it's so tough, like you said, to judge off week one, but I still think it goes back. And we talked about it Friday because the game happened Thursday night. But the fact that you have given Boise State a loss, and it wasn't just that Boise State lost, but it's that Boise State lost to a member of your conference, and a member of your conference that you think can contend for a conference championship. So shout out to South Florida for doing that. And I just think it kind of puts the American in the driver's seat right now for that that bid. The problem is, you can always go out there and beat up on each other, and sometimes you're your own worst enemy. But, at the end of the day, right now, after 1 week, we're in a good spot.
Justice says, don't be surprised if Charlotte finds a way to beat UNC week 2. He says, think ECU 2018 after A&T. Buy or sell, Philip. Charlotte can beat UNC week 2.
Yeah, I know. I get what they're saying, but I think this Carolina team's a little better than that Carolina team.
We'll find out tonight. And Justice, to his credit, he says, we are due for a big win in Dowdy. Also, you picked us to beat BYU in your preseason predictions. I'll be honest, I still feel that way. I'm just saying it's far from a slam dunk. So we'll see how it plays out, but hopefully the Pirates can take care of business the next 2 weeks, because then you would get a lot of hype going into that game, but a lot to happen between now and then. All right, we'll get a break in. When we come back, we'll dive deeper into ECU and NC State. We'll have our buy or sell segment, tell you how we're really feeling about ECU a couple of days after the Pirates' opening loss to NC State. We'll be right back.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors. Ahar, matey! Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in 94.3 The Game. Hoist the colors. Download the IBX Media app to get all of our shows archived, including the Patrick Johnson Show tonight at 5 o'clock. He'll have Jim Zoki on, ECU play-by-play voice, along with at 6 o'clock from Tiebreakers, Patrick will visit with ECU head coach Blake Carroll on the latest edition of Inside Pirate Athletics. So looking forward to that. Again, download IBX Media, the app, to get all that straight to your cellular device. Also, on hoistthecolors.net right now, we are running a kickoff special, 75% off a VIP subscription. Again, 75% off. You can go to the website. It's one of the first stories you'll see. This is for new subscribers, also monthly subscribers who want to upgrade. If you are a full paying member, just as a reminder, you get for your loyalty free access, a free VIP or a free subscription, to Paramount Plus, which is a significant value for our full-time, full paying subscribers. So appreciate your support of hoistthecolors.net as well as this show. All right. A comment I did want to address before we get into our buy or sell segment with Philip Pilkinen, who is producing today. LV says, finally we have a kicker that can put it in the end zone. Yeah, shout out Everett Scott, kickoff specialist. I don't think NC State got one kick return, And that is a significant thing because it's something you don't really think about till the team's running past the 30, 40-yard line, breaking off a big return. So I thought special teams looked solid all the way around in the Pirates opener. All right, Philip, are we ready for some buy or sell, how we're really feeling after this ECU season opener?
Let's do it.
Take it away.
All right, number 1, Brock Spalding will lead East Carolina in receptions this season. You buying it? You selling it?
Look, I love Brock Spalding. I love what he did in the opener. But I am selling this. I think this is I am buying that Brock Spalding will be a much bigger part of the team in the receiving core. He had 6 catches, 97 yards, but I'm going to sell the fact that he leads the team in receptions. I do wonder how much of this was, like, if you're NC State going to the game, you know you have to take away or at least limit Anthony Smith, and he still could have had some big plays. You know you have to keep an eye on Yannick Smith. I think the last guy you were worried about was Brock Spalding. Like, I don't even know. Like, I'm sure he was on the scouting report, but I don't think he was a guy you mark. So, personally, I think he's going to play a lot more. He made some phenomenal catches, but I'd be surprised if he led the team receiving. Your thoughts?
I think the other thing, too, is he's, 45 weeks, something like that, removed from a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing NC State thought, hey, you know, how healthy really is this guy? Yeah, I'm going to sell this one, too. I think maybe we've underestimated Brock Spalding. I think in the past we've been high on him, and it's not that he's really disappointed. It's just maybe he hasn't always had the opportunities or gotten injured, of course. But, I just think the Smiths will not really come off the field. And, you know, it's just going to be interesting to see how this slot role evolves. You know, we thought we'd see more Jaquez Petaway. They got him the ball twice, both times behind the line of scrimmage. So I don't think they're giving up on Jaquez Petaway yet either. The nice thing about Brock is, those you don't know, last year he was like pretty much the number 2 guy on the depth chart at all 3 wide receiver positions going into the season. They do trust him outside as well as in.
Yeah, and the thing, you know, he's not the biggest guy. The thing he was recruited for were his hands. And, like, early in his career, I don't know if he was pressing or what, but he struggled to catch the football. And now, like, you saw how well he can catch it in that game. So I think wherever he lines up, he's definitely a guy that's going to get targets. Look, 6 targets, 6 catches for 97 yards. You can't beat that. All right, our next category.
East Carolina only scored 17 points against NC State in the opener. This will be the lowest point total East Carolina scores all year.
I am buying that. I mean, outside of BYU, Tulane worries me a little bit, and maybe even Army because it's the option.
Yeah.
But it's the season opener. 17 points. And you went 1 of 4 on 4th down. If you get any of those 4th downs, you're probably scoring at least 24. So I am buying that the 17 points ECU scored in the opener will be the lowest. I think ECU will score 20 or more the rest of the season. Is that crazy to say?
No, it's not. Heck, we both said they were going to score over 30 points a game. And who would we be to just go on there and just disregard everything we thought coming into the season because of one performance? I mean, we know that one game does not define a season, and I don't think this is going to define who this offense is. I think the offense was a little out of sorts early, as well as the time of possession was really, not in our favor there during that first quarter and a half, and that limited the number of possessions as well. So, we were talking about during the break, this team will snap the ball 90 times a game. They snapped it somewhere in the mid to upper 70s. So I'm going to go over.
I do want to see. I do want to see the red zone play improve.
Yeah.
That was an issue last year at times. And I love the Mike Wright stuff, but I want to see some Mike Wright packages in the red zone. Like, I think that's where he can really be. Like, put him at quarterback, especially if you're going to continue to struggle to run the ball. We know he can throw it. I mean, look, is he the best drop back pass in the world? No, but like if you just put Mike Wright in as a gadget guy, they're going to be prepared for that. If you put him at quarterback, they're going to be gearing up for the run, but he can also throw it. So, maybe if this red zone stuff continues to struggle, maybe we'll see Mike Wright, because ECU moved the ball. They just got to execute a little better once they get on the other side of the 50. All right, our next category.
Our next category is the defense did not overperform on Thursday night. This is who they are, and we should expect much more of the same, not allowing big home run plays.
I'm very torn on this one because I wonder how much NC State should have just continued to push the envelope through the air. Because they would hit a big play and they would run it 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Can I sell, but also, like, buy a little stock too? I don't know. Like, I'm selling it that this, like, what we saw is going to be what we see all year. But I do think the defense will be better than we anticipated, if that makes sense. Like, I'm going to sell that this is going to be the defense we see every week.
Yeah.
Because I do think the thing that worries me is the defensive backfield. I just don't know if there's anybody back there who's going to make a bunch of plays on the football. And so I think they're going to give up some explosive plays. But I think they'll be better up front than we thought, if that makes sense.
I think so, but what I like about the nice thing about having guys who don't make a lot of plays on the ball is they don't try and go for the ball and then get themselves burnt. Like, I think we've got a lot of self-aware guys on the back end, and I think that helps.
I agree with that. I mean, you played 4 corners in the game. All of them were juniors or seniors. And then the safeties, you did have a sophomore out there in Jamarlee Riddle, but he's basically an upperclassman with as many snaps as he played. And you have Tegan Wilk, who's a 6th-year guy. So, like, I think, like, to your point, they're going to be in the right spot. And it just comes down to me, are they going to be able to make enough plays? Because, look, they're going to give up some explosives, but then maybe it'll just be a bend but don't break defense.
I think they might be. I mean,
Yeah.
Look at a guy like Rashid Reason. Like, he let up some plays, but it was just because the receiver had more God-given athletic ability. It wasn't because he was ever out of position. He's not good because he's solid. But I think he knows he's not Darrelle Revis out there, so he doesn't try and be Darrelle Revis. And this is probably one of the best receiving corps, if not the best receiving corps, East Carolina's going to see all year. So that's why I'm kind of buying this, because I think it would be a little different if these guys were under-experienced and maybe not the most skilled group. But I think, again, they're not the most skilled group, but I just think the maturity in the room really helps these guys, realize, like, hey, man, sometimes you're just going to have to play the ball, knock it down. You're not going to have 6, 8, 10 picks.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we'll see. I mean, defense, the other thing, too, is you knew you had a new coordinator. I will say it looked a lot like the Blake Harrell scheme with Josh Aldridge calling it. So, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things where there were some new wrinkles, but I think we're just going to see a continuation of many of the same things Blake Harrell executed as ECU's defense going forward. Any other things
on that topic, or another,
or just another buy or sell?
Okay,
I don't even know if I bought or sold it, but whatever.
You kind of punted on that one.
I'm selling it. How about that? That's my official answer.
Thursday night. That's what night we played. Caton Hauser attempted 44 passes during his time at East Carolina as a starter last year. Did not have a single game in which he attempted 40 passes. Are you buying or selling that he will average over 40 attempts, 40 or more attempts, I should say, so over 39.5 attempts per game this season?
I'm going to sell. I think if he averages more than 39.5 attempts per game, then this offense is in trouble.
Yeah.
They want to run the ball. They ran 79 plays, according to Pro Football Focus, on Thursday. And they basically ended up having to, throw it twice as much as they ran it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I mean, that's just not what you want to do. Now, they had to do that. 46 dropbacks and 28 rushing attempts. Design handoffs, I should say, according to PFF. So, I think they'll lean more towards throwing the football a little bit more than running it. But John David Baker would be the first to say you want to have that balance. You've got to be able to run the ball or else this isn't sustainable. I do think I am more comfortable putting the game on Caton Hauser's shoulders if needed. Like if you play BYU and it's clear in the first quarter you just can't run the ball. How about you scrap it to a degree. Obviously, you got to run every now and then just to keep them honest. But NC State, there were points in that game. The thing that encouraged me the most, there were 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations where NC State knew ECU was passing the football. The offensive line was able to pass protect, and the receivers were able to get open against deep coverage. That signals to me that this team can maybe drop back and throw it a little bit better than last year. And so that's an encouraging thing, but you got to be able to run the ball too. So I'm going to sell that, but I am a little bit more bullish on this passing game overall, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm actually going to buy it. And it's not that I think they're going to be throwing the ball 44-plus times a game, but I think if they run 75 plays, who's to say they don't throw it 40 times and run it 35 times? I mean, that would be roughly 12 attempts per back if you distribute the carries evenly amongst the three, which we know it won't be 100% even, of course. So, and I think they're going to use some of the screen game and some other things maybe more than they did a year ago, just with these style of backs as opposed to a bigger guy like Rajay, and that will be an extension of the run game, but will obviously count as a passing attempt.
Yeah. There were some early looks in that game where the backs got open and then just dropped the ball. So that's the other side of it, too. Like, I do think those guys can be dangerous in space, but there were 4 drops in the game. I think Caton Hauser's adjusted completion percentage, if you take away drops and throwaways, it was like 86%. So, I mean, he was on the money overall. Brandon in the chat says, what is the truth? NC State has a ridiculously good defensive line, or ECU has a lot of work to do with their offensive line? Both. And I don't know how good NC State's defensive line is, but I think the truth is in the middle. The offensive line definitely has a lot of – I just watching it from the box, I just noticed a lot of just missed assignments, just little miscommunication. And if one thing goes wrong on each play, it looks bad. I mean, that's all it takes is one guy to mess up. So
one bad apple spoils the bunch. I know it sounds cliche, but, I mean, you got to do your 1/11th.
I think State has a solid defensive line, but not a great one. Any other buy or sell? I got one for you.
Okay.
If you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. NC State fans, NC State fans are the worst in college football. Buy or sell? All right, no, not that. I actually know some NC State fans. They're not the worst. But NC State fans are not happy with the win because Dave Doeren got up 17-0 and largely sat on the football and almost lost it. So despite the win, Dave Doeren is still on a path to getting fired by the end of this season and will get fired. Buy or sell? Buy.
He was on a path to get – one win is not going to over – a group of 5 school is not going to make that path change. I mean, what it did is it stopped the chance of an acceleration.
Yeah.
It didn't change the direction in which they're headed, especially with some of the schedule coming up. I mean,
this Virginia game this weekend is very interesting all of a sudden.
I know. Are the Cavaliers good or the Beach Chickens just crappy? Who knows? We're about to find out.
I'm going to sell that Virginia. I'm going to sell that Virginia's good. I need to see them go on the road to NC State and prove it. I know they spent a bunch of money. I don't know what the line is in that game. I don't know if it's out, but I'm going to take NC State.
Because I didn't feel like Virginia was that good when they had Bryce Perkins. They actually had a competent quarterback 4, 5, 6 years ago, and Virginia's just never that good. They're always they're usually not the bottom of the barrel, but it seems like 8 wins is kind of the ceiling there.
They've got Chandler Morris, the former North Texas quarterback, and while I like him, I think based on what I've seen, you can rattle him if you hit him a few times, and I think State will hit him. It looks like State opened as a slight favorite, looking at what I'm seeing. So looks like maybe a 3-point spread, if this is accurate. Yeah, NC State opened as a 3-point favorite. I'll take the Wolfpack there at home. But I think it's about a good line. Even. Teams seem pretty even. Give the edge to the home team. A on YouTube says, I work with a lot of NC State fans. They were not happy. I think they know they would get dog-walked in conference play. We'll find out. And Justice saying the fact Caton threw as much as he didn't throw an interception is great news for us. John Moody. 0
turnover-worthy plays.
Yeah. I mean, 46 dropbacks. This is just a great sign. Just a lot to like with Caton's performance. Hopefully he keeps that rolling. John says, man, I needed some new content today as I clean up a tree on the farm. Thank you all for putting the labor into Labor Day. Appreciate you tuning in, John Moody. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back. We'll continue on talking to ECU, NC State. We'll look forward. What do we want to see versus Campbell? We'll start talking about that a little bit as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU Athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Again, Hoist the Colors, segment 3 here. East Carolina losing to NC State 24-17. We're now on to Campbell. We are still talking about the game. We just had our buy or sell segment, which I really enjoyed. Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Got a couple more comments I wanted to get to. Matt Redmond wants to know, when was the last no-turnover game in FBS play for the Pirates? Matt, according to Stephen Igo's way too quick research, that was November the 7th against the Florida Atlantic Owls. ECU won the game 49-14. Caden Hauser threw 5 touchdowns, ran for another, and ECU did not turn the football over. And I do think it is significant. We did hear a lot this offseason from JDB about our goal on offense is to not turn the ball over, not beat ourselves. And really, the only thing that beat themselves were drop passes and penalties. So it definitely wasn't a clean game from the standpoint of taking care of the football, Philip. I think that was important. So now it's just, can we stop holding guys and can we stop dropping the football?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think offensively that was that, but also lack of blocking with our feet.
Yeah,
is I'm going to kind of put that all together because that's holding. That's also not blocking on the perimeter, right? Because what's the rule if your feet stops moving? You're doing one of two things. You're getting beat or you're holding, right? So I think the lack of, again, it wasn't like it was, I'm trying to like bag on like until he put the game on the offensive line or on the tight ends or whatever. But when you're not moving your feet, when you get those concrete feet offensively, bad things happen. And again, like you said, concrete hands with some of the receivers, too many drop balls. There's some other complaints on defense, but as far as the offense goes, that's kind of how I feel.
It'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff. ECU taking on the Campbell Fighting Camels. Campbell in a season opener went to Rhode Island You know what the funniest part was? It on the way to NC State, on the way coming back, we ran down the Campbell schedule. And,
it was on the way back because we were trying to stay awake.
And made game-by-game picks. I think we ultimately predicted Campbell would have 3 wins. I do have to say we were going through random schedules just trying to stay awake, as Philip said. Campbell played number 9 Rhode Island in CAA play to open the season. Actually looked better than I thought they would. Lost the game 31-20 on the road against the Rams, but entered the fourth quarter up 20-17 against Rhode Island. URI ends up scoring the last 14 points in the fourth quarter to win 31-20. Campbell in the game, Camden 6-killer, McNeese State transfer. That's their quarterback. He also
all-name team there.
What a name. He threw for 144 yards and ran for 21. And their other quarterback, returning starter Mike Chandler, he went 1 of 3 for 4 yards, also ran around a little bit for a touchdown, 29 yards. So expect to see 2 quarterbacks. Probably 6-killer will start. Chandler will be your mobile quarterback. ECU will be a heavy favorite here. They should win the game. I think Campbell is a decent FCS team. This is more about what ECU does than what Campbell does. Cameron in the chat says if we don't have at least 100 yards rushing against Campbell, I think there are serious problems with our O-line.
Correct.
Yes. I mean, I will be watching more than anything at the start of this game. Typically I do watch the ball, like naturally, but usually the first series or 2 of a game, I will try to watch just the line of scrimmage. Are they getting pushed? Are they getting pushed back? Sounds simple, but usually you can tell pretty good. Are you going to win up front quickly? And I'm going to be watching that. If ECU is not getting any surge in the offensive front, I'm going to be a little concerned, Philip.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to win the point of attack against a team like this. And look, upsets happen. Anything can happen. But what is the big difference in bigger programs and smaller programs? The size of the guys up front. And when you played poorly up front, yes, against a team who was bigger than you, you've got to bounce back when you're playing against the lesser competition, right? You want to be successful against Coastal as well because that's going to kind of set the tone for conference play, of course. But when you look at a game like this, if you don't win the point of attack, I don't want to be premature in saying this, but you get really worried about how the rest of the season's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just out there missing if there's still missed assignments, obviously you don't want to see that, but that is at least fixable.
Yeah. If
you're just getting beat physically by Campbell, that's a problem. A couple things to note on the Camels. One of their starting guards, Cameron DeBrant, ECU transfer. They also have Logan Wright, former ECU defensive line walk-on. So both those guys play in the trenches. Will be going against their old teammates. That'll be interesting. It looks like Wright played a little bit in the opener, and Durant started for them at guard. So there's a note there. For me, I just want to see – it kind of goes with what we just talked about. I just want to see what these running backs can do. I mean, we did not even get to see anybody operate in space. Every time they got the football, they were getting hit. The only run I remember is London Montgomery going up the middle for 10 yards. That was the only time I was like, all right, there's a little surge, there's a little opening. I want to see what Parker Jenkins can do with some decent blocking. So for me, along with watching the O-line, I want to see what these running backs can do. Can we get, DeJuan Lacey, TJ Engelman, some of the other backs by the end of the game out there as well? So that's what I'll be watching. Anything you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, when you just kind of building off your point, when you're getting met in the backfield, it would take Barry Sanders to get through that. I don't even know if I'd trust Emmett or Sweetness with some of what we were going up against. Is it good if I move to the defense side of the ball, or is that the next segment? Or
no, you can go for it.
Okay. Moving to the defense side of the ball. I want to see us grab some cloth. You do not have to decleat everybody in the backfield. Look, is that kid Hollywood Smothers shifty? Yes. Were there times we didn't break down and we tried to just kill the young man instead of tackling him and it cost us? Absolutely. Break down, grab cloth. I know it doesn't make highlight plays, but it's going to beat you down the road if you don't play fundamentally sound football and tackle with fundamentals. This is a great opportunity. You're going to meet their running backs in the backfield a few times, hopefully, just solely because of the fact that you're bigger than their O-line and you can get some push up front. Now, is this kid going to be Hollywood Smothers? Absolutely not. But still, it's all about the fundamental side of the game is what I'm looking at when you play a team like this. You don't want to see slack, lack, lazy fundamentals. These are the type of games where it is very good to beat on your craft.
Yeah, and going off the defense, I was looking at the stats earlier. 13 missed tackles against NC State, according to Pro Football Focus. What's interesting is the 13 missed tackles were spread across 13 different players. So there was nobody out there just like whiffing left and right.
Good.
It was just like it was a team-oriented thing. And I think
it's good.
I think Smothers had 8 forced missed tackles on his own, which shows you just his ability. I'm sure CJ Bailey
that
had
number's low.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like a lot more than that.
There was 3 or 4 on one play.
He's impressive, man. I don't care what his final stat said. The other thing is they gave him 22 carries. You knew NC State after the bowl game when they didn't give him any touches in the third quarter was going to hammer Smothers. I think if you can get him in that 15 to 20 touch range consistently, that plays to his body size, his strengths. I mean, that first drive or two, he looked unstoppable. So tackling, good thoughts for sure. I want to see more pressure on the quarterback. I know this defensive front can get pressure. Now, when I was rewatching the game, it was almost like they were scared to rush because it was clear they had been told, hey, more than anything, just keep CJ Bailey contained. There was a ton of stunts. There was a ton of defensive end, rush up the field 5 yards, stop, make sure you contain Bailey. Now, he still was able to get out of the pocket because he's that good of an athlete. I'm not gonna Camden 6 killer. I mean, I'm sure he can move a little bit, but I don't think he's CJ Bailey. I'll have to go back and look at the film, but he did not run a lot in the opener. He was under pressure quite a bit. So I want to see ECU get pressure and sack the quarterback. If they have a bunch of quick passing game, then get the corners up on the receivers. We saw ECU play way off the ball, which I understand against NC State, but let's see these corners try to do some press coverage as well against an FCS team and get some more pressure on the quarterback. Because, look, we know Lampley can do it. We know Raheem Craig can do it. I want to see these other outside guys. Kendrick DeJour played pretty good against NC State. Julian Davis, Josiah Robinson. I just want to see the Pirates in the backfield like they should be in a game like this.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But I do want to kind of build off a point you made there where you mentioned there were some stunts that appeared to be successful, and then it seems like after the stunt was successful, the player got into contain mode.
Yeah.
That lets me know this team, again, to reiterate your point there at the end, has the ability to get after the passer, and I felt like we were effective in our pass rushing in beating the guy across from us. So, yes, maybe it didn't result as many QB pressures and all those things, but again, that was a schematic reason I felt that this team did their job successfully and did their 111th getting off the football. I really enjoyed that. And I even feel a little better maybe about the pass rush after that game than I did coming into that game because, again, you were facing a much bigger, more talented offensive line than you're going to see majority or pretty much all of conference play majority of the rest of the season, with the exception of maybe BYU.
Pirates had 10 pressures on CJ Bailey. They had a coverage sack by Xavier McIver. J.D. Lampley, Raheem Craig, and Xavier McIver all had 2 pressures apiece for the Pirates in that contest. All right, let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show right after this.
It's time to soak up the savings at Greenville Toyota. Summer is here with hot deals on a great selection of new Toyotas, like a Corolla, $189 a month, or Tacoma, $279 a month. Soak up the savings at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt & Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
The sun is out, and so are the deals at Greenville Toyota. Soak up the savings on a hot selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $289 a month. Soak up the savings at Greenville Toyota.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Final segment here, Hoist the Colors on a Labor Day Monday. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. Hope you're enjoying some time off on this Monday. All right, got a couple comments. We'll see what we can get through. Graham says you certainly can't blame the tight ends for not blocking. We didn't use them to lead block. Straight dive plays versus that solid D-line killed us. He adds, get a tight end in the backfield or put them in motion and run behind them. It worked when we had Jay Sunhalter. Philip Pilkington producing. We were talking during the break. Look, love Jay. He's been a part of our 94.3 IBX Media family for a while, helping us out. Jay was a much different player than Desiree Riles and also Javante Connor. So, you got to keep that in mind. Riles is the better blocker. Connor probably the better athlete at this point. They're both really good athletes. I would say more receiving tight ends than blocking tight ends necessarily. But I don't know. I did see them try to run behind the tight end a few times, and I saw them put the tight ends on the perimeter, and they struggled to block there. So any take, Philip, from what you saw with the tight end blocking?
Yeah, that was a little more frustrating. It was like some of the jet sweeps that were, and quick passes that were thrown to Mike Wright and to Jaquez Petaway. Yeah, that on perimeter blocking. It's so tough to be a tight end. You've got to be able to block like a receiver. You got to be able to block like an offensive tackle. You got to be able to catch like a receiver and block like a fullback sometimes. So there's so much that goes into the position. But I think with these guys being more pass catching tight ends and more athletic, where you want to see them if they have a certain part of blocking they're really good at, it's that perimeter blocking, right? It's when they're lined up one by one off of the tackle and they're out in space, and I feel like they struggled a little bit there. I think both these guys are pretty good at it. Just thought they got a little lazy with their feet and didn't get their hips around, and that's what blocking is, right, man? And yeah, you got to be strong, got to be tough, but at the end of the day, if you don't have quick feet and you don't stay in front of the guy, again, you're either getting beat or you're holding. So they'll be fine. I'm not really worried about them, but that's where my concern was more so than between the tackle type runs when it came to the tight end blocking.
Live bullets too are different. ECU practices this stuff, and they do practice it at full speed, but they've been, I would say, pretty cautious this preseason about trying not to get guys hurt. And so when you just do it in a game and a guy in a different jerseys run 100 miles an hour, it takes some live bullets to really understand and clean up your technique. So I do think you'll see those guys get better as they become more full-time players. All right, final comment here from ECU Kids 79. Potential tricky game for us will be at Temple. Temple quarterback Evan Simon went for 280 yards and 6 touchdowns against UMass, according to ECU Kid. Yeah, Temple played well in Greenville last year offensively. That game, look, I know covering ECU football, anytime you go on the road to Philly, Lincoln Financial Field in November where there's 14 people in the stands, it's going to be tough. I will say the one thing I like about this game is ECU has a lot of time off. They play at Tulsa, or they play Tulsa at home, on October 16th, and then they don't play again until November 1st against Temple. So they should be ready for that game, but I understand where ECU kids come from.
Yeah, I do too. Evan Simon's the best quarterback Temple's had since P.J. Walker, And look, this is a young man. Is he going to be the greatest quarterback in the conference? No. Is he going to go out there and get drafted? No. But he doesn't make turnover-worthy plays. He's very smart, very high IQ. He's tall. He can see over the line very well. And, if they can get separation on that outside, he's going to put the ball in a good spot. He is pretty darn talented. Again, not going to be the best quarterback in the conference by any means, but he's one of those guys that will make you pay for your mistakes. And it's going to be the team you're probably going to have to play, I wouldn't say a flawless game against, but you're going to have to be very fundamentally sound and wise and know what you're doing. The good thing is 16 days to prepare as well as kind of getting them late in the season.
All right, Aaron Murphy at the buzzer. Predictions for Mike Wright for Campbell. I don't know if you show any more of the Mike Wright package for the Campbell game. I think maybe he gets 3 touches.
Yeah, 2, maybe 3. It's just you feel like you can kind of win the game without him. I think if anything, we would see more backup quarterback role late than you would see him in the traditional offense.
Mike Wright, I'm going to say 3 touchdowns versus Coastal, but no touchdowns this weekend. That's my bold prediction. How about that? All right, we're out of time. We will see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Labor Day.